what kind of skills are required for a person to progress through, say, a white belt to a blue belt, from a blue belt to a purple belt? So as they get better and better, what do people tend to notice in their own game, in their own jiu-jitsu game?
I would say that it's not so much about skill, it's about how you perform those skills. I often say to people who are new to the gym that as far as moves go, as far as your sweeps, your submission, like your basic sweeps, your basic submissions, all that sort of stuff, you will probably learn a great deal of everything you need to know at white belt. And then blue belt, you will refine it. And then purple, you'll refine it further. A triangle that a white belt hits and a triangle a black belt hits are only differentiated by the ease in which they're done. And as you progress further from white to blue to purple to brown to black, I think you learn to speed up your body but slow down your mind. So you see things coming. You learn to stop sweeps before they happen. You set up things when people don't expect you to set them up. So that's the big difference. As far as skill goes, I think with white belt, if you know your basic submissions, you know, your cross collar chokes, your arm bars, your triangles, Kimuras, Americanas, and you drill those so that you're at a stage where you can hit them from a number of positions, and you know 3 or 4 sweeps, a couple of takedowns, you've probably got enough knowledge to get to blue belt, but you'll spend those first 2 years getting really, really quick and really effective at hitting those. And that's when you'll progress to the blue belt level. And then at blue belt, they'll throw different things into the mix, like wrist locks. You know, that's a submission that you can't do at white belt that you can at blue. And so they'll throw that into the mix. And again, that's just a new thing that you have to practice, get good at, get quick at. And it isn't really until the end of blue belt when I think you start getting really fluent at what works for you. And then I've always been told purple belt is where you create your game. And that, in my case, that was true. A reason for that is I went into a no-gi grappling competition at purple belt where leg locks were allowed. And I'd never trained leg locks. I trained straight ankle locks and that sort of stuff, but not intricate setups, you know, single leg X or anything like that. And the guy I fought, he pulled guard on me straight away. He grabbed my foot. I grabbed his foot. He knew what he was doing more than I did. And he popped my knee. And so my knee popped at that tournament. It wasn't super bad, but about 2 weeks later at training, I was trying to pull my leg out of a half guard, and my ACL just went, just bang. I had the scans, complete rupture of the ACL. I didn't opt for surgery because the other ligaments were still fairly intact. So I just did a bunch of rehab. But after that, I couldn't keep my guard closed anymore. People would open my guard like that. And so I was forced to adapt. And that's another thing that always comes up in jiu-jitsu. You will get hurt and you will have to use your body to adapt to new things, new positions. So at purple belt, I started playing like a lot of half guard and a lot of open guard, and that became my game. And so I just spent the whole time focused on that. And I've seen a lot of people do the same thing. It's like white and blue, you focus on white belt, learning the moves, blue belt, getting really good at them. Purple belt is probably more using what you already know to start crafting your own style of jiu-jitsu. And then when you get to brown belt, that's when leg locks are legal. And then same as blue belt with the wrist locks, that opens up a new can of worms, and you probably spend your brown belt practicing your leg game. And then when all of that comes together, I think you're ready for your black belt. But having said that, my favorite moves are dast choke. I learned a dast choke when I did MMA. The dast choke that I like to hit is when I'm in somebody's half guard, when they're on bottom and I'm on top, and they get the underhook. And for anyone who knows jiu-jitsu, they know that the underhook is probably one of the most important things in jiu-jitsu. And I was lucky to be born with ridiculously long arms. So for me, if someone gets an underhook from that position, I'm able to get my arm underneath their armpit and onto the other side of their neck and lock up what's called a dast choke. So it's like a figure 4 choke, but you go under the armpit and over the neck. And then I just drop my weight and squeeze, and most of the time I get the choke. But I learned how to do that when I did MMA before I even put on a gi. So the difference in the actual choke between white and black belt, there's no difference. I've just learned to be much more effective at hitting it in that time.